How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. And in this video we'll be talking about the ultimate guide to double game week 29. I know, quite a hectic week, not only in FPL but also videos here on my channel, but unfortunately this game week was confirmed quite late on, so I wanted to get you guys this video out right now. If you haven't watched the game week 29 preview, go check it out. It gives you more basic and general options going into game week 29, whereas this video is going to specifically focus on those double game week teams, the likes of Man City and Arsenal. So if you haven't watched the preview, as I said, go check it out, link down below. But without further ado, let's get into the ultimate guide to double game week 29. Thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. Link down below if you do want to use my download link to download this wonderful app. Thanks again for sponsoring the video. If you don't know, OneFootball is the everything football related app. It's free to download on iOS or Android, and you can see there on the table, I'm following the Premier League right now. Gives me all the goals, assists, and whatever I need to know, as well as following my favorite team if I do want to follow a team, which is for me Liverpool, but for you it could be anyone else. Also, if you want to track more leagues than just the Premier League, go and check out this app. As I said, link down below. So as I said in the introduction, the double game week teams are Arsenal and Manchester City. This has just come from that blank game week 28, which has just happened. They've moved this fixture to game week 29, and luckily for us, that means another double game week. Now, whether that means that your own teams are going to be completely mashed up now as you look to bring in Arsenal and Man City players is completely up to you. You kind of have to decide if you think it is worth it to bring in these players. You're probably going to have to downgrade a lot of your midfield and forwards to kind of afford these players, as you're probably not going to want the cheaper alternatives. So Arsenal do have West Ham at home and Man City away, and then Man City have Man United away and Arsenal at home. So right off the bat, I do think that the Arsenal fixtures are better. That Man City away fixture is probably one of the worst in the Premier League at the moment, but that West Ham at home is definitely one of the best. So Arsenal have to focus on the Premier League right now because of them being knocked out of the Europa League, and they managed to win the FA Cup game on Monday evening, so they're still in that competition, but definitely the Prem is probably going to be where they focus. Then with Man City, Manchester United away, that's always quite a close game between those rivals. It is a Manchester derby, and then Arsenal at home is probably the plum fixture for them. To be honest, Arsenal's defense is one of the worst in the Premier League at the moment, and Man City's attack is one of the best, so you kind of put 2 and 2 together, and I'm looking at quite a convincing Manchester City win. So going on to chip strategy and what chips to use. The free hit, I don't think this week is the best week to use your free hit, mainly because there are blank game weeks coming up. We'll be talking about blank game week 31 quite soon, so I think I would save my free hit for that one. The bench boost as well, I'm pretty sure you're not going to have a really good bench for game week 29. Maybe if you already have your Arsenal and Man City players, you could consider it. Now, my kind of advice is not for your specific teams, it's kind of general advice. So if your specific team has a really good bench, then I'd say go for it. And then the triple captain is the one that I think that you should be considering. Now, if you have all chips intact, I think this is going to be a really nice week to use your triple captain, and it also allows you to use the free hit and bench boost in the upcoming game weeks, which could lead to a nice boost. So the triple captain, as you know, should be used on a player that you think will score well. And if you look at these two teams, I think if you were to be guaranteed minutes, I do think these sides offer some really nice captaincies. So I think the triple captain is probably the chip I'd be using out of these three. So Arsenal options, the 3 options I personally am looking at, I've gone for the 3, not almost popular, but some players that I think are going to offer some really nice value and alternatives to popular pick. And then starting off, we have Aubameyang, probably the biggest no-brainer out of all of the teams. Aubameyang has been performing quite well. 17 goals and 3 assists is really good, and he comes in at 11 million. That's the only problem with him, he is quite expensive. So as I said, you might have to sell your Mo Salahs and your Sadio Manes to afford Aubameyang, and if you think it's worth it, then I think that he could be a nice option. Also has played a lot of minutes, and I do think out of the Arsenal options, he's probably the safest option to get minutes. Then we have Nicolas Pepe, a player that has recently shown a little bit better form than the starting game weeks of the season. Comes in at 9.2, fulfills a spot around that Son price, so if you still have Heung-min Son, I don't know why you would, maybe you can do an easy switch to him, but otherwise could be a downgrade from, as I said, the Liverpool assets. 4 goals, 6 assists, not the best stats, but he hasn't played that many minutes. I think this is kind of the punt one to go for. If you want to have a nice differential and a punt to take on a double game week player, I think Nicolas Pepe could be your option. And then probably one of the more popular options because of his price tag, we have Saka here, 4.6 million, 0 goals but 4 assists in 1,000 minutes. So his goal involvement for Arsenal has been absolutely superb, whether it be in the Europa League, FA Cup or Premier League. So he's one that I'm keeping my eye on. Unfortunately, he is listed as a midfielder. He does play in that fullback position for Arsenal, and that's one thing I want to raise your attention to. So while Kolasinac is out, I think that Saka will start, but they do have Tierney in the wings ready to come on. He's just come back to training, I think, this week, so just keep your eyes on that one. But I think for a little bit of a punt, 4.6 million is not too much money to spend, and especially myself, who's looking at transferring out Traore from Wolves, he does look like quite an enticing option. Going on to the Man City options, and you probably all heard of these 3 names: De Bruyne, Mahrez and Aguero. So first off, Aguero was confirmed that he's back from his knock that he picked up. So Aguero is fit for the Game Week 29 fixture. Whether he plays both of them is yet to be seen, and I don't think we're going to know anything until the game weeks have closed. So De Bruyne, the most popular pick, and I think the most highly owned Man City player at the moment. If you don't own De Bruyne, I think he's the Man City player to bring in. Main reason being probably the most important player to Man City at the moment, and probably the biggest guarantee of minutes in a Man City side that you know likes to rotate. And now De Bruyne has the best assist plus goal threat in the Premier League at the moment. 18 assists and 8 goals is simply magical, and I think he definitely looks worth that 10.7 price tag. Played a lot of minutes there, not every minute, but I think with De Bruyne, he has the occasional knock and rests, so we can perfectly understand that. My next option to go for is going to be Mahrez, simply because of his price tag. 8.4 million, not that expensive for a Man City player, and I think that price tag kind of quantifies the punt to go for him. So at 8.4 million, I think you just kind of hope that he starts both, but you're not really too disappointed if he doesn't. Also has some really good stats to back it up: 10 assists and 7 goals, and only played 1,351 minutes. So he's definitely someone that I am looking at for a potential downgrade from my premium options, and I think a punt that a lot of people took previously in the game weeks, and hopefully he didn't transfer him out because he does look like he has quite a nice double game week. Then we have Sergio Aguero, 11.9, the most expensive Man City option, but 16 goals and 4 assists to back proves he's worth that price tag. Now with Sergio Aguero, also another popular pick, so hopefully he didn't transfer him out, but I think if I was to kind of ponder between Aguero and Aubameyang, it's quite a tough decision. And we'll be discussing that decision a little bit later on. But with Sergio Aguero back from injury, I think that he's definitely guaranteed to start one game. And I think if he starts one game, he still has the potential to do quite well. And then anything other than that is bonus. But these are the 3 Man City players to go for. Let's look at how I will be ranking them from least important to most important. So here's the ranking in a descending order of importance. So these are the players and the ranking that I'll be looking at bringing in. So if you can't afford Aubameyang, then go to the second option and so on. So the first option is Aubameyang. I spoke about his minutes and his almost guarantee of minutes, and I think out of all the players of Arsenal and Man City, Aubameyang is the player I would be looking at. So I think he's got great goal threat, and against West Ham, I'm really backing him to put in a shift, and I even spoke about him as a captaincy option in the Game Week 29 preview when he just had that one fixture. So I think you got to take West Ham as the plum fixture, and then anything against Man City is just bonus, and I think then you're going to be looking at quite a good game week. I also think that he's going to be a nice option to bring in, as he's not the most expensive player, but there are a couple of forwards that we're looking to transfer out, so you might as well just make that transfer a -4 and then bring in one of the big guns. The second option is going to be De Bruyne, also from the minutes point of view. Out of the Man City side, Pep loves to rotate, but De Bruyne seems to be a staple in that starting 11, so I really do like his option. One of the more popular picks, so if you don't own him, I do think you should be looking at bringing him in. That all just comes down to ownership. So right now his ownership is about 100%, so if you don't own De Bruyne and he scores, all those points are going against you. So De Bruyne looks like a good option, not only from now, but till the end of the season, and Man City do have some upcoming double game weeks as well, so he looks like a really nice option. Then Mahrez, simply because of that price point, I think his price is low enough to take a punt on him, and I do think that he has the potential to do quite well in this one. Then we have Aguero. You could also substitute him with Jesus, so if you can't afford Aguero, you might go for Jesus, but I think there's so much rotation between these two that it's almost hard to separate them. With Aguero, I just think he's the better goal scorer, so that's why he's made my list. But I think if you're going to bring in Aguero, you have to be accepting of those risks. If he starts one game, so be it, but you could also still hold him for some upcoming Man City fixtures. And then finishing the list off, I have Sterling/Pepe here, purely from a punt reason. Sterling hasn't been in the best form recently, and Nicolas Pepe over the entire season hasn't been as well. But Pepe, the only advantage he has is a little bit cheaper than Sterling. So if you can afford Sterling and want a Man City option, that's a little bit more of a differential that I say go for Sterling. But Pepe is almost a little bit of a safer option because of his price tag. You won't be expecting as much. So this is my ranking that I think you should be using if you were to bring in an Arsenal or a Man City player. Lastly, you'll be talking about captaincy. So if you want to go for a captain from a double game week player, as I'm sure most of us do, I would go for Aubameyang. That West Ham fixture is just a little bit too hard for me to ignore. And then again to Man City, as I said, anything is bonus. So Aubameyang would be my standout captaincy pick. You can obviously go for anyone else, but I do think Aubameyang's the safest. And then De Bruyne from Man City. So he usually does well against the bigger opposition. So Man United and Arsenal, I'm expecting him to do well. And against Arsenal, probably going to be quite attacking from Man City's point of view, so you can always get some returns there. So this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'm Dayvy FPL, and I'm going to be signing off. Cheers, bye.